when you're in a world that isn't yours, and by that I mean in a world that we're the minority in, you're very protective of it. And what you have established thus far, incredibly protective. So there isn't always just a big group of women with their open arms, because there's less chances for opportunity for us. So we're gonna fight tooth and nail for them, whereas if just to get it out there, if you're a man, there's a million places for you to go and opportunities, it feels, and doors opening, but when you're a woman, okay, well, if we don't even know what they're here for, and if there's fewer positions of success for a woman, you gotta fight harder to get them. My interactions with other women on the job sites were very few and far between during my early years as a tradesperson. There was another apprentice. There was a couple girl apprentices on the PSV job up at CNRL. One being an iron worker, so we didn't really interact that much because the job was a weld show. So we were just welding. The welders were super busy. The iron workers were doing their thing. So we were kind of segregated there. There was another girl though that had caused a lot of problems because she really struggled, and not only with the guys, she really struggled with me, and I struggled with her, There's this girl who isn't capable of lifting the torque wrench or isn't capable of holding a 9-inch grinder all day, so she gets to work with the quality control people. Okay. It just didn't make sense to me, like that, then why is she here, kind of thing. And this was another girl, this wasn't even about, this was, why is that right? Why am I doing my job? And I kind of got sucked into the same mentality that probably a lot of men do. And what makes it difficult for women to succeed is, why is she getting special treatment? Why is she getting this? Why? And I think in that situation, totally honest, it was poor supervision skills, because that could have been handled differently and probably not caused the sort of animosity it did between her and I. Because I'm having the boys in one ear saying, oh, wish I was a girl, wish then I could do that. Meanwhile, here I am standing there with the 9-inch grinder the same way they are, but without getting the credit. And it took me a long time to realize, you don't need the credit, you're earning your credit. But it's hard when there's somebody the same gender as you that's perceived the same way you are, getting it easy, and her story is setting the tone. Because if they were a girl, they could have the easy job. Well, why isn't my story setting the tone that this girl is an equal? So for a long time, I did not speak to that girl. I was incredibly cold to that girl because I had a bone to pick, And it was, to be totally honest, I didn't even realize that I'm sort of verbalizing this for the first time right now. But I didn't realize that until I was confident enough in my own, when it stopped mattering what anybody else, it didn't matter because I knew how good of a welder I was, it didn't matter that she couldn't do her job or she couldn't keep up or that she was giving people a bad name, because I knew that when people saw me, they would see my skill set, my successes, my achievements. And I'll tell you, me and her have ran into each other again. And it was interesting because when I knew she was there, the first thing I did was roll my eyes, oh, great. Here we go. All over again. Now as a journeyman, I have to deal with this, and what's it going to be like? I'm not going to tolerate this because I have a responsibility, I feel, to every woman in my industry to make sure that their first day on the job site, they're treated with respect because of the mark I left on them. That's something that I carry with me every day on my shoulders, that I want to make it easier for the next girl behind me. And so I do that by working hard. On this job, me and her were partnered. And I'll tell you what, that immature little girl that I met on that job site was no longer. She had matured into a bright woman who wanted to take charge and take ownership of her actions, and she wanted to be a part of it, and I embraced it. And I'll tell you what, she's one of my favorite partners. We laughed, everything that we did had hearts on it. I defended her. I would say it was probably the most heated argument I have ever been in with somebody on a job site, was defending her. And I would do it all again. And to this day, I tell both sides of the story. Don't discount anybody, because we all are entering this world in a different space. Me and her may have both been introduced at the same age, but I was much more grounded somehow, just as who I am. I'm not sure really, but we were at different places and it took her longer to get there, but she's there. She's a journeyman now. My husband actually just had the pleasure of working with her again, and again, she's killing it, and I'm so proud of her. But it's been interesting getting to get that perspective of, at first when I wasn't confident in my own self, so it made me incredibly defensive of her and her actions. And then as I grew into the tradesperson I am today, and with the knowledge and skill base that I'm confident in my skills and in my trade, and it really doesn't matter. And I'm hoping that through Build Together, through projects like this, that's a message that we can get out there, so that we can all help make those first days easier for each other. Because I think we get hung up on other people's shortcomings when sometimes they're a reflection of our own. And I think Build Together is a really good vessel for that conversation.